It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Thursday Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 27th day of July, 2023. I'm Chillie Falls coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia, Central Virginia area right near Lynchburg. Got a busy show today, folks. Quite a bit in the way of news. No real major stories, but quite a number of stories. The lead is that Carnival Dream changes to Jamaica ports. Carnival Jubilee gets her funnel. 30 dead as a ferry capsizes. Man, it's getting ridiculous with these ferry stories all the time now. Coral Princess makes Maiden call in Dover. A new cruise line to sail next week on August the 1st. Some good news for my Alaska friends. Alaska Shore Excursion Railroad reaches a tentative union deal. Itineraries adjusted due to the fire over there in Greece. And unfortunately, folks, we're going to have visas to go to Europe starting in 2024. That and a lot more here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, folks, is National Chili Dog Day. I was so excited about today being Chili Dog Day. I had chili dog last night. Actually, I had nothing to do with that, but it worked out nicely. So make sure you go get a hot dog today someplace, folks, with some chili on it. If you're listening via the podcast, of course, you're always welcome here. You can access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big hitters: Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Pandora, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. It doesn't matter. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime you're listening to the podcasts, there's always a link in the description of the podcast to access the video feed if you ever want to jump over and check out video clips or pictures or interviews that I'm using on that day's show. All right, before we get to the news portion of things today, if you haven't yet, please hit that like button. That helps us out a lot. And if you have not subscribed, if you're one of the numerous new folks that have been visiting the show lately, you're always welcome here as well. Please feel free to take part in the chat room as all my regulars get in there and talk amongst themselves throughout the entire show. I do get over the chat room before the day's over with, but feel free to join in. We're continuing on with just some nice growth. I'm going to be, it looks like I'll pass 4,100 now, probably tonight or tomorrow. Which is terrific because, it hadn't been but just a couple of days ago that I passed it 4,000. So things are moving nicely in the growth area, folks. So please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. And, the bell notification tells you when I go live or when a new video is uploaded. All right, today's top story, folks, comes from our friends over at Carnival. They canceled some Carnival Dream things. A couple cruises, as a matter of fact. They reached out to guests booked on 2 upcoming cruises of the Carnival Dream that a port of call in Jamaica has been changed. The October 21st cruise, which is a 14-night Eastern Caribbean sailing from Galveston, Texas. By the way, it's got some pretty neat ports besides Jamaica. It calls on Key West, Grand Turk, San Juan, St. Thomas, St. Kitts, St. Martin, St. Croix, and then comes around to Jamaica. I've not seen that itinerary before. But anyway, it was supposed to go to Montego Bay. Instead, it's going to go to Falmouth. Well, if I had my druthers, I'd go to Falmouth too. I like Falmouth was clean and a little more modern, at least the areas that I was in Falmouth, than Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, and the other ports are just, they're not the best ports in the world. All right. Also, the January 13th, that will be in 2024, which is another 14-night sailing, a different port to call. But instead of going into Ocho Rios, it's now going into Falmouth. So another change to this itinerary is a slight modification of port times in Colón, Panama. Though the ship's still going to be visiting the ports. And of course, from Carnival, no explanation was given on why they did this. All right, yesterday was a big day for the Carnival Jubilee. Funnel in place. Just days after floating out and touching water for the first time, Carnival Jubilee has received her iconic red, white, and blue winged funnel, giving her that very classical Carnival look that has adorned every ship since Tropical. This brings the ship. I love Tropical. I was on Tropical 3 times way back in the day. This brings the ship one step closer to her debut and marks the ongoing construction of her finishing details. The addition took place as the ship is now docked alongside the outfitting pier at Meyerwerft in Offenburg, Germany. Finishing construction now continues aboard Carnival Jubilee as the ship prepares for her sea trials, which are supposed to happen in August. Those tests will thoroughly examine all the ship's technical operational systems, including propulsion, navigation, maneuvering, and other safety features. All right. That's the Carnival Jubilee getting her funnel. All right, I'll be back with a couple more news stories, folks, after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. And this is a kind of sad story now, but it's starting to get, I find, a little troubling the more I delve into these stories. But yesterday, a passenger ferry overturned in Laguna de Bay, located southeast of Manila, in the Philippines, of course, as a result of powerful winds. It was actually a typhoon went through there earlier in the day, and these were winds after the typhoon itself had moved on out to sea. The accident occurred near Talim Island, specifically in the Benanganan municipality, about 1 a.m. This morning. The exact count of passengers on board during the incident is still uncertain, but it has been verified that at least 30 individuals lost their lives, unfortunately. So far, 40 have been successfully rescued. Emergency response efforts are still underway. In the aftermath of the tragedy, there may be ongoing disruptions in both maritime and land-based transportation in the vicinity as the emergency response continues to be in effect. The more I've looked into this, it's, there's been just a raft of interesting use of words, a lot of ferry accidents, fires, sinking, everything. These ships have very little rules and regulations to govern what they do. And yet people are on these ships every day. So I think probably, and I hate government entities being in charge of it, but somebody needs to start, putting the ferries through the same kind of rigorous rules and regulations the cruise industry has to go through. I mean, they're starting to, not only been tremendous loss of life, but loss of property as well. And it just seems to be an ongoing thing in, certain areas of the world that depend on ferry service for a good portion of the population's transportation. The Philippines is one of those areas. Sad situation, and my thoughts go out to all the folks involved over there in the Philippines. All right, the next story today has to deal with Coral Princess. Considered the gateway to Britain, the port of Dover received a special guest yesterday. When Coral Princess visited for the first time, the ship was poised to begin a 55-night segment of a 107-day world cruise operating round trip from Auckland, New Zealand. The port, which can accommodate up to 3 cruise ships simultaneously and recently opened a new marina, is a popular call for cruise ships with itineraries focusing on the British Isles, Iceland, Norway, Scandinavia. Between cruise and ferry passengers, the port welcomes about 11 million people per year. After departing from Dover, Coral Princess will make calls in Scotland and the Shetland Islands, followed by Iceland, French Canada, which is Quebec, and Nova Scotia, before arriving in New York on the 16th of August. From there, she will transit through the Panama Canal, calling at ports in Peru before cruising to South Pacific destinations such as Easter Island, Pitcairn Island, and Tahiti before reaching Auckland. Again, folks, sometime before I die, I hope to do one of those cruises. I don't care. It doesn't have to be a whole world cruise, but I'd love to do, even a segment of one of those cruises. But probably need to hit the lottery that I never play to be able to do that. All right, new cruise ships going to be, a new cruise line is going to be on the map next week. Explorer Journeys, a brand new luxury cruise line from MSC Group, will sail its first cruise next week after taking delivery of the first ship, Explorer 1. Explorer 1 will depart on her maiden voyage on August the 1st, a week-long cruise to Iceland and Scotland from Copenhagen. The luxury ship will spend several weeks in Northern Europe, offering a range of different itineraries before crossing the Atlantic. The cruise ship will spend the fall season in North America, the winter in the Caribbean, and the spring in the U.S. West Coast and Hawaii, before returning to Europe for the summer of 2024. During all cruises, the ship will call on lesser traveled ports for guests to enjoy a more authentic experience. The luxury cruise ship will offer cruises from 7 to 11 nights during the length of its inaugural season. Now, folks, I don't want anybody to get confused. This is not MSC Cruises. This is a totally separate entity, and they're billed out to be an Explorer, high-end, high-class cruise ship. It's got the price tag for that. These are not cheap affairs. These are not being promoted like MSC did, trying to garner their share of the market and putting some really good deals out, especially for solos. It's pretty stout. But they're supposed to be pretty nice. Now, we'll have to see. But, yeah. Maybe they should have me on to, test out the ship. I'm willing, Explorer 1. Come on. Good news from our friends up in Alaska. White Pass and Yukon Railroad and the Smart Transportation Division has announced a tentative agreement has been reached between the railroad and the union or the White Pass and Yukon Railroad train and engine workers. The agreement, which will be good until 2027, is under consideration by more than 24 unionized employees, and it's pending ratification, according to a press release. Details of the agreement will be released publicly following the announcement of the vote results. However, usually when the union says they've come to a tentative agreement, the membership goes along with what they've said. So things are definitely looking a lot better for the rest of this year, at least, with the Yukon Railroad. And that should cover things until 2027. So good for them. I'm sure everybody in Skagway will be breathing a sigh of relief. Maybe not so for our friends down in Greece. Wildfires that have consumed large areas of the popular Greek islands of Rhodes and Corfu have not resulted in any cruise calls being canceled, though a number of shore excursions have been modified. George Cabinas, president of I got to get this spread out. Sorry about that, folks. Where did George go now? George Cabinas, president of Greece Union of Cruise Ship Owners and Associate Members and COO of Piraeus-based Celestial Cruises, said so far there have been no cancellations on scheduled calls, but shore excursion programs have been affected, particularly those to the southern areas of Rhodes. Currently, Cabinas has no plans to drop Rhodes from Celestial Olympia's four-night iconic Aegean itinerary, reassuring those booked on it that they will make every effort to ensure a seamlessly enjoyable experience. Passengers on board were informed of the situation through an announcement, onboard communication, and via the company's updated website. Nonetheless, while Celestial continues the popular program, the line has revamped its shore excursions to exclude the southern part of the island. Fires burning on the southern part of Rhodes, which affect the island about 45 kilometers south of the cruise terminal, are closely being monitored by the line, which is working in cooperation with local representatives, the authorities, and trade partners on the island. Rhodes is one of the most popular destinations on Celestial itineraries, and the line is working with local authorities and their global trade partners to offer support the areas of people touched by the disaster. The local port authorities have not reported any disruption to sea traffic, though around 19,000 people were evacuated on Rhodes, some 16,000 by road and 3,000 by sea, with ferry operations offering accommodation on board for those rescued from the fire-ravaged areas. And the last story this morning, this is particularly for Kenneth and Robin and Hot Air Tom and any of the rest of you guys going to Europe. Things are going to change, folks. We're going to have visas to go to Europe next year. Starting in 2024, U.S. passport holders traveling to Europe will need to apply for authorization through European Travel Information and Authorization System, ETIAS, we'll call that, before your visit. While U.S. nationals currently enjoy visa-free access to most European countries, this convenience will change once the new law is in effect. Basically, folks, it's going to work very similar to the system we use in this country. It will attach to your passport. And once you get it, it costs, you have to apply for it. I mean, there's a lot of rules and regulations on doing this. You have to first apply, and it costs like $7.79, some weird weird number. Not expensive. And then they have to approve you. And then you go through all kinds of other stuff. And it's got to be well in advance of your travel. So if you're planning on traveling in 2024, you want to think about getting this going soon. We don't go to 2025, so we got some time to deal with it. Hot Air Tom and Kenneth and Robin and I do. Then once you get approved, it's good for 3 years or until your passport expires. So it's not like you have to do this every trip, even if it's to a different destination. Once they approve you for the European Union, I guess you want to call it, then that's good for anywhere for 3 years. But it's something new and something, don't complain about it, folks. If you're going to complain about it, just don't go. We got to do it, so let's do it, and chin up and spend the $7 and whatever it is, get it all done, and we'll be fine. So that's my thoughts on that. All right, let's go over in the chat room and see who's fussing at me today. Hot Air Tom is with us. Did you see there was a capsized 20-foot boat in the Outer Banks yesterday? I did not see an Outer Banks capsized boat. Nope, I missed that. Hi, Melissa. Melissa's out there in hot Arizona. So what's going to be, Melissa, 119 today or something? I will pass on the chili. One thing I don't like. I'll pass on the chili. One thing I don't like. Okay. Oh, pass on the chili dog. You spelled the chili for my name and not the dog. So you had me totally confused, Hot Air Tom. I got on the right page though. I was a little slow, which is usual. I caught up quick. There's Nikki. Hi, Nikki down in Jacksonville. Cindy's with us. Hi, Cindy. Gretchen's here out in Ohio. Steve's with us down in Kentucky. There's Elizabeth Buena Diaz, Chillie and the gang. Another gorgeous day here in sunny Cozumel. I was talking about you last night, Elizabeth. Just thought I'd say that. We actually sat, my family's here, Jason and my grandkids. We sat and watched the soccer game last night, the World Cup game. Our ladies against the Netherlands. Did a little screaming at the television. There may have been an adult beverage involved. I'm not sure. But anyway, we had a good time last night. They're actually going to go visit Appomattox today. Do a little history for the grandkids. Nikki says our son Sam has to buy a new boat today. The current one, Sheena, has a hole in the hull and is dead. Rest in peace, Sheena. Yeah, sorry about that. It's already 106 with the heat index. Full day right after this. I'll probably not go out to the pool until they get back from their little excursion today. But then I will go out there. I can't go out there multiple times a day anymore. It's too much of a hike for me. Or, I've got to get the power wheelchair in and out of the car more than, I'm trying to save on some energy there because we're going to be going out to dinner again tonight and I'll need it there. So anyway, so of course I use my walker, but it's gotten that I can get to the pool once and then I can stay out at the pool for a while. But going back and forth from the house to the pool, that ain't going to happen. Steve says, definitely a good day to make some sun tea. Yes, it is. I might get the old jar out. Elizabeth says she loves this weather. There's Kenneth. Hi, Kenneth. It's talking about you. Melissa says it's going to be 113 today. Oh, my God. A cool spell. A cold spell hits Phoenix. It's only going to be 113. Wow. Just need to buy some Flex Seal tape. Yeah, that'd be good. Slap some of that tape on it, fix that boat, and save himself a bunch of money. Of course, you might be out in the middle of the ocean and it springs a leak and goes down out there, but then you can fuss with the Flexo people. Tomorrow is check-in online date for the next cruise, Boston to Bermuda, followed by a Boston to New England and Canada. Very good out there, Tom. We'll certainly be sharing some of your exploits. Nikki says he doesn't ask my advice and I try not to give it out. That's probably a good thing, Nikki, because it seems anytime I put my nose in something anymore, it gets cut off. So, do we currently need to do anything for Canadian visits? Just your passport, as far as I know, Hot Air. But nothing special that I know about. And I don't think there's anything special for Bermuda like the last time you went to Bermuda. So, but yeah, just your passport. Can we do that visa online? Yeah, Kenneth, let me see if I've got that. Confirmation validity. It should tell me on here what to do with it. Oh, it just says to check the ETIAS website. So just look up, Kenneth, European Travel Information and Authorization System, ETIAS. Let me give that a quick copy and stick that in the chat room for you guys. Boom. There you go, Kenneth. Anyway, look that up and go to the system, and anything we need to do should be there. I have not checked that part out yet. However, from what I'm reading from the story, it's just an application process, and then they approve it. Everything's done by email. Cindy says she's got 80 days till her next cruise. I'll have to look into the European visa since my next year cruise from Rome is in 2024. Yeah, it's going to be affected by that. So $7 charge and 5 years, I think, or until the passport expires. Was it 5 or 3, Gretchen? For some reason, I was thinking it was 3, but I could definitely be wrong because I didn't really write this thing out this morning. I was just kind of doing it from the cuff. $7.79. Processing your application. ETS travel authorization is valid for up to 3 years or until your passport expires. So yes, I was correct on that one. So anyway, there's all kinds of rules and stuff with it. So just something we have to do, guys. All right. I saw it was €7. Oh, crap. You're probably right, Tom. Let me go back and read that again now. Where's the price? It's up here a little higher in the story. The cost of applying. No, that's American dollars. That's a dollar sign, $7.79. That could be 7. Is €7 equal to $7.79 now? I don't know. But anyway, it's not that expensive, whatever it is. So we just got to do it. Bite the bullet. Forget about it. Oh, why is that picture still on? I'm slipping, folks. That was supposed to come off when I went to the chat room. All right, that's going to wrap me up for today, guys. Thank God. So I will be back with you same time, same place tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, as always, Stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising. Hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a fantastic day, everybody. See you next time.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, so if you'd like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.